Good evening, YouTube. Vampire YGO here again with another deck profile. Yeah, I've been pretty bummed about the whole, obviously virus ruining a lot of things throughout many people's lives, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously being one of them in ours in regards to the video and the channel. So I guess in the meantime, I will be coming at it with a decent amount more videos, updates for previous and past deck profiles, and then plenty more new profiles like this one. Thank you guys again for all the support with the two Buster Blader profiles, the Crusadia variant and the Pure variant. I got a lot of good feedback on those ones, and I feel like a decent amount of people liked them because I don't think I've gotten that many views on videos that fast, and they're already almost both at 2,000 each. They kind of just caught up to each other. It's pretty cool. So again, thank you guys very much for your feedback and everything as well. And let's get into this one. Obviously, as you can see, it is a Zodiac deck profile for this one. I never thought I'd be playing this deck again. I remember pretty much getting this deck, and then, after a week or two, when locals and places like that in certain areas were starting to ban this deck from at least entering the tournaments and stuff like that. This is the only deck I would consider that I've seen hated almost as much as probably Mystic Mind back in the day. But I had the deck as well, and then I kind of saw how broken it was, and I sold it as quick as possible while it was still at its peak. So, and then I actually bought the whole core again later when it was all down for about 30 bucks, maybe like a year or two ago. And yeah, the only thing I actually bought recently for it was right when Barrage went to 3, actually. I got the 3 Rams from the OTS pack, but let's get right into it. For those of you who don't know, I'll just kind of obviously still go into a little bit of the detail of the effects for people who haven't seen this deck or weren't around when this thing was wreaking havoc and just being splashed in pretty much every kind of meta deck that was out at the time. So obviously Rapier is at 1. I really wish, I don't think the the Barrage or 2 Barrages was a fair trade for the Dryden. I mean, I really like the Dryden. It makes the deck actually playable again, but I wish they would have given us maybe 1 Rapier back, or left the Barrage at 2, or given us a Broad Bowl. I mean, come on, Broad Bowl can't be that crazy compared to what decks are out now. It would just make the deck probably just a solid tier 1 versus maybe a tier 1.5, tier 2 control deck that I would kind of consider it at right now, depending on the player. But Rapier and any of the actual Zodiac regular effect monsters for the main deck all have 2 different effects. One effect that they have that is their own, and then one effect that they have being an attached Exceed material on obviously an Exceed monster at the point that is basically an active effect. And then Rapier is when this one is normal summoned, so not special summoned, just normal summoned. This one is basically your Foolish Burial. You can send one of your Zodiac cards from your deck to your graveyard. And again, card, not specifically monster, so you can send Barrage or Combo as well. And Combo can activate itself off, and then you can send 5 monsters back and then draw an extra card. Just more for grind game purposes, but this is kind of your starter. You really want to see this, and you have multiple ways of getting it first turn. And then you have Ram. Definitely one of the best normal monsters as well. Probably put him in the top 3 with maybe these 2 in Thoroughblade. But Ram is awesome. Ram's first effect is when this one is destroyed, sent to the graveyard by either your card effect or by battle, or essentially even your opponent's effect. Basically what happens is you can special summon another Zodiac monster from your graveyard, and it can even be one of the Xyz monsters, and then while it's attached as an Xyz material, this one basically is a defense against your opponent's trap cards, and they can't target, and you can detach it to protect your Zodiac Xyz monster from trap cards at the time. And then 2,000 defense, 400 attack. Rapier with 0s. That's kind of important because all the Xyz monster for Zodiacs start out at pretty much nothing, and they add up the attack and defense of whatever Xyz monsters are attached to them. But Ram's awesome for the special summon from the grave. And then notice most of the Zodiac monsters as well are not hard ones per turns, which is pretty cool. I have 1 Bunny Blast. She's awesome. She's pretty much the same thing as the Ram, except she protects against spells. And then her essentially onboard effect is you can target one Zodiac card in your graveyard except the Bunny Blast and add it to your hand when she's destroyed by a card or effect. So kind of like the same thing, but instead of special summoning, adding back to hand so you can get your Barrage back, or a combo, or maybe even the Rapier. And then she's 800 and 800. It's cool because you see her artwork on the Barrage too. 2 Cataroost. Cataroost is very similar to those ones as well, except this one goes for monster effects. When it comes to Cataroost, when it's attached, it protects pretty much the same thing. When your opponent's monster activates effect that targets the attached or the exceeds material, then you can detach this card to negate it. And then when this one is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one Zodiac card in your graveyard, obviously accept Cataroost, and shuffle it into the deck. So Ram to special summon from grave, Bunny Blast add from grave to hand, Cataroost from grave to deck, and then trap spell, and then monster protection. And the artwork on all of them is awesome. They're all obviously like animal-based monsters, some sort of humanoids. And then Whiptail, this one's actually really important too, especially when you're playing another more battle-based deck, when you're actually dealing with more attacking and defending of monsters. Zodiac Whiptail, 1200 attack, 400 defense, and then essentially during either player's turn, it's pretty cool. You can basically target one of your Beast Warrior monsters and then equip this card to, or attach it as the exceeds material to it, and then when this one does battle with another monster, you banish that monster after the battle step, or damage step, sorry. Man, I should have got some, I had ulti, it went ulti back in the day and sold it, but I wish I would have gotten another one before they spiked again, when they were around like 12 bucks. This card is extremely important. Another good combo piece, and then again, this one is awesome because it is not a solid once per turn. So you can activate his effect multiple times, and he's pretty much like another draw power card for his regular effect. So when he's normal or special summon, you can discard one Zodiac card. So you can discard your, maybe like a dead thing, like if you get a Zodiac combo in the first turn, or one of the monsters that you don't want to summon that turn, if you get Rapier or if you get Thoroughblade, and then you draw a card. And then this one's effect is when this one is attached as an exceeds material and attacks a defense position monster, you inflict piercing battle damage. And then he's pretty much one of the best ones to add for attack as well, being 1600 attack and then being obviously level 4. Actually, well, they're all level 4 anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. And then, yeah, he's the horse. And I think it was a Cataroost and one of the other trap cards were the later cards in Shaka 9 and Hammer Kong were the printed later cards after the deck was already pretty much shot. And then that would be it for the Zodiac monster lineup. Since it is a control, more control-based variant, we have 3 Ash Blossom. Obviously, everyone knows what this card does. Still very amazing in this format. And 2 more of the sisters. We have 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. And then we have 2 Effect Veiler as well. And then again, you can switch the 2 Veilers for 2 Imperms. I'm rocking the Veilers from this variant right now. And then to the spells, we have 1 Zodiac Barrage. Barrage is awesome. So you target one face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon 1 Zodiac monster from your deck. And then you can also target 1 Zodiac monster you control and attach this card, from your graveyard to it as XYZ material. So this one automatically becomes just another attached piece to your XC monsters. And then obviously it's limited to 1 now. It's like it went from ban to 1 to 2 to 3 to limited again. Another very important card. You usually want to search for your Thoroughblade or Rapier or Ram again, depending on your hand, but most of the time you want to go Rapier if you didn't get the Rapier, or Thoroughblade if you did get that one. And then this one, basically what it does is your reinforcements of the army, essentially, but for Beast Warriors. And then all of your Beast Warrior monsters gain 100 attack. It's continuous. Doesn't really take up much room. And then 2 Potted Desires instead of 3. I've pretty much, since this card's ever come out, I've never ran it at 3. I think 2 is most likely the perfect number for it. 3 is just a little bit too much, especially there was times where I'd see drawing a Desires off of a Desires, which that was happening a little bit too often for my liking. And the ulti would be awesome to have too, but obviously you know what Desires does. Just some draw power. So you have like the Thoroughblade, you have the Pot of Desires, you have the Zodiac Combo, you have the Upstart Goblin. I remember when this card was also at 3, I'm pretty sure. I think it was still at 3 when Zodiac, no, it went to 1 when the Satellars were the ones that were abusing it. 1 Twin Twisters and 2 Cosmic Cyclone for back row destruction. Obviously both being, or all 3 being quick plays is awesome as well. And then Twin Twisters, honestly discarding a card does not hurt you in this. Essentially you can discard things like Ram and stuff like that to your grave, because you can always just constantly keep special summoning by the effect of Ram and then Shaka 9. And then last for these spells, we have 1 Monster Reborn. Yeah, the Prismatic is fire. Obviously, you know what this card does. It's back whenever you want. And then, obviously the trap cards. We're gonna run 3 Zodiac Combo. This card is another pretty good extender. So what happens with this one is you can either discard it for the Thoroughblade, and then when it's in the graveyard, it's pretty much got two effects. When it's on the field, you set it and you can attach Zodiac monster from your deck to one of your XYZ or your XYZ Zodiac monsters on board. And then when it's in the graveyard, if you have 5 Zodiac monsters, you can send all 5 monsters back to the deck, including your Exceed monsters that you choose. So you can recycle the Trident, which is very important. That's why it's awesome that it's at 1, because you can actually see it multiple times throughout a game if you want, sometimes even in a turn, essentially. And then you draw a card. And then obviously recycling some of those other cards is pretty good to get back in there. We're going to run 3 Compulsory Evacuation Device. I've been testing this in a few different control based decks that are doing pretty well in Master Rule 5. It's a really good card essentially when they pop things like Predaplant, Verte Anaconda. You can just pop the Compulsory, or obviously wait till specific points or specific monsters that you just want to see off the field. It's most of the time they're going to be Synchro, Exceed, or Link. Or obviously even fusions, duh, but helps out a lot. It's a little bit more point than the Get Out. And then we run 2 Solemn Strikes. 2 is just perfect. I see the card plenty, and it definitely helps. I mean, typical hand, you usually see 1 or 2 Zodiac cards with the rest pretty much control, like a hand trap, and then maybe 2 traps. It's usually a typical hand. And then 1 more trap card. And this one I've also been testing in a few different decks, control style, and then my Crusadia deck as well, which I'll preview. Imperial Order, man, I mean, getting this first turn and going first is, you can just say goodbye to Shaddolls. They'll just scoop up and then go game 2, because what can they do? You have a Dryden on board, maybe even the Infinitrack Fortress, or the Hammer Kong with the Dryden as well, on top of maybe other traps and hand traps. Yeah, good luck. Obviously, this thing is shut down for any spells on board. And the cool thing is you can easily get it off board whenever you want to with the Dryden. You can just pop this. And as you can see, OG first edition Pharaoh Servant. Classic. I pulled that on Christmas when my parents bought my brother and I packs, obviously when Pharaoh Servant had come out. That was one of my, I would say, coolest pulls. I was super hyped to get a secret rare on Christmas out of maybe like 6 or 7 packs. And then we have, for the extra deck, 2 Barbaro. You don't make him too often, but essentially when you do, he's pretty much just going to be extra Exceeds material unless you're really going into battle with him. And then pretty much what he does, he's all about the battle. He can attack your opponent directly, and when he inflicts battle damage to your opponent, while he has 12 or more XYZ materials, you can send as many, obviously, possible to your from your opponent's hand or field to the graveyard, and then change your defense position. But like, when is that really going to happen? It's good luck doing that. He's pretty much just extra material to stack with your Exceeds. One Hammer Kong, and he's pretty much your protection. When he's obviously, like I said, they all have the question marks for the attacks because their attack is whatever Exceed monster attached to them, and they don't gain anything from the other Exceeds on top of them, just the effect monsters. And then basically with him, while he has XYZ material, your opponent cannot target face-up XYZ monsters on the field with card effects except him. And then once per turn during your end phase and your opponent's end phase, you have to detach one of the materials. So you usually want to use the Barbaro as an extra stack if you're going to get him out. And Tiger Mortar can also put one under, and the Zodiac Combo can also put another attachment under as well. But you can usually get him, like, worst case scenario in like a bad hand, you can get him and Dryden out, and then maybe a trap or a hand trap in your hand, and then he'll protect the Dryden. And pretty much a lot of the other ones are 3 ofs. We're gonna have 3 Tiger Mortar, same thing, and then these ones can also use the other Exceeds as Exceed material. Obviously, she's one of the key components as well for the combos. What she does is when she has the XYZ material, you can detach one and then attach one of the Zodiac monster from your graveyard to one of your current Exceed monsters as material. And then you can just like stack a Shotgun Iron over her and then combo out a little bit more, or obviously it just depends on what you have going on. There's a lot of plays this deck can do. It's awesome. I was kind of hesitant on making the build again, thinking it was probably just going to be, one of those old decks that are just pretty much not going to barely even probably push tier 3. And then I started playing it online, and I was playing 2 out of 3 matches non-ranked, and I won my first 7 games with 0 losses, no tiebreakers, nothing. It was just, and I hadn't even played the deck since 2016, 17, whenever that was. 3 Shotgun Iron. This card is amazing. Another monster reborn, essentially. Her effect is when she has the Exceeds material, you can detach the material to target one Zodiac monster from your graveyard and special summon it. Their effects are negated and they cannot be used as Exceed material. So you want to be specific, you want to be specific with what Zodiac monster you bring out, because again, you will want to realize that it will not be able to be used again. So a lot of times with her, you'll want to use that to get the Ram because the Ram's effect is activated in the grave. She's awesome too. Just the dog. Canine. I think all the artwork is really well done. I mean, Konami's genius with all of their stuff. I've seen a lot of people posting the lore lately, and Crush Cards did a really awesome one on the World Legacy Mech Knight Orcust Crusadia history. It was really good. You guys should check it out. And if you've ever heard of the YouTubers Crush Cards, it's a couple and they're awesome. Check it out sometime. You got Zodiac Dry, obviously the Queen Bey of the freaking deck. Her effect is when you have the XC material during either player's turn, you can quick effect detach the material and then destroy one face-up card on the field. And again, it does have to be a face-up card. So just remember that, 'cause sometimes that does come up and you're like, crap, none of their cards are face-up yet, and maybe you can destroy. Usually one of the good things that's on board is either the Imperial Order or the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist search card. But yeah, she's awesome. You usually want to just keep her protected, and then you can also just keep feeding her materials, or you can always get her back if she does end up going to the grave. Or sometimes you'll actually, you'll use her in combo to pop the Ram, and then you'll essentially just exceed over her and then recycle her, and then maybe use combo and get her back same turn. This extra deck is not very tight. Still kind of figuring out what other ones I want to use. I don't have an Ausa, the Earth Charmer. I think he would be good in this deck, but I do run one Abyss Dweller I've been messing with. Definitely good for Shaddolls. Exiton, And these would be the other 2 random Exceeds that were in there. There's obviously plenty of rank 4s that you can use. And then we have, for the links, we have a Barricade Blocker, Mrs. Radiant for the, obviously, the Earth boost. It just gives them an extra 500, and it's actually pretty good. Obviously, when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target an Earth monster in graveyard and add it to your hand. And then, obviously, the Barricade Blocker does as well. And then, last but not least, the card a lot of people have been seeing in the Zodiac builds for probably the past 3 or 4 months now. The Infinitrek Fortress Megaclops, and this thing is ridiculously easy to make. You can make it first turn, even with a decent hand, almost every time. Very easy. But obviously what this one does is it's, well, not obviously, but it's unaffected by your other opponent's monsters effects except Exceed monsters, and it cannot be destroyed by battle except with an Exceed monster. And then basically you can target one Exceed monster in your graveyard, and then one card your opponent controls, special summon your Exceed monster, and if you do, attach your opponent's monster to that card. It's pretty cool. So you do want to make sure that they have a card, otherwise you just won't activate the effect until your next turn, if they do have an extra monster on board by the time it's your turn again. And then any damage that you take is halved. Oh, sorry, your opponent takes. Oh, I was cracking my back, misreading it there. It honestly never really kind of gets to that point. It's pretty much always a attack directly with this thing. You usually can kind of clear the board and then just start smacking them with it. But yeah, and then yeah, Mrs. Radiant Megaclops gives it a little bit boost too. You don't really see that. You really don't see these too often. It's mostly this. Every once in a while, the Dweller. Haven't used the Exciton yet. And then obviously the rest of your Zodiac package. But that would be it. If you guys could let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about Zodiac being a contender. The other cool thing too, especially with what they've been doing, I still wouldn't count it out that there's a good possibility that the Zodiac cards get maybe some new support, even possibly a Link monster, maybe a new Exceed monster, just kind of like what they're doing with Dark Lords. I mean, Dark Lords are older, or if not just as old as the Zodiac. I'm pretty sure, I think Dark Lords were out and then Zodiac came out right after. But yeah, and then, as you can see, with plenty of older archetypes, they always come out with support. And I don't know, I feel like they're kind of hinting that Zodiac might come back, and you never know. They can also put Wrap here to another number, or give us another Barrage or 2, or even the best case scenario, give us back the Broad Bull. So yeah, if you guys could just please let me know what you guys think. Give me some feedback, like, dislike, comment, and then if you guys do dislike it or have anything, let me know. Please just let me know why. Thanks, you guys, and then have a good night.